The hum of the tube amps thrums through the floorboards, a living pulse beneath the reclaimed power substation. Patch cables snake across the console, tangled stories waiting to connect. Faded Xeroxed zines, protest manifestos, and hand-labeled vinyl share space by the faders, catching the dust motes dancing in the dim light of a single bare bulb. The air is thick with the scent of old electronics and a faint, metallic tang.
Black Star Pirate Radio.
Permont checks in at 48 degrees and sunny. Wind check, west at 9 miles an hour. First up, the delicate balance between state security and press freedom sees a seismic tremor in Paris. France threatens to expel Russian journalist Fedorova.
Indeed, Togee. French authorities are threatening to expel Russian journalist Fedorova, who reports for Sputnik France, citing concerns over alleged Kremlin propaganda. The immediate consequence places a spotlight on the French Interior Ministry's definition of disinformation and its impact on foreign correspondents operating within the EU. Fedorova herself, a prominent voice for Sputnik's French-language audience, stands exposed to professional exile and potential legal challenges back in Russia. This move risks setting a precedent for other EU nations, potentially narrowing the operational space for non-Western journalists covering international affairs.
It's the digital equivalent of trying to prune a forest by burning a single tree. When a government targets an individual journalist, even if she's a conduit for state media like Sputnik, the ripple effect on perceived press neutrality is profound. It conjures images of Cold War-era expulsions, not modern media regulation, impacting the lineage of independent reporting. The message transmitted is about control, not necessarily truth, exposing global media trust to further erosion.
Patching in a caller, the skeptic. You're on the signal.
This is Elena from Marseille. I hear propaganda. I hear threat. But what's the actual cost to France if they don't expel her? And what's the cost if they do? Is there a middle ground that maintains French sovereignty without just silencing dissent?
A reel-to-reel stutters somewhere in the back room, then finds its groove. The board glows amber. Copy that, bringing it back to the main thread.
Elena, the cost of inaction from the French government's perspective is perceived erosion of national security and allowing foreign influence operations to operate freely on French soil. The cost of expulsion, however, is a potential diplomatic row with Moscow, accusations of censorship from international press watchdogs, and a blow to France's image as a beacon of press freedom, especially ahead of the 2024 European elections. A viable alternative would be to initiate a formal, transparent investigation into Sputnik France's funding and editorial practices, rather than targeting an individual journalist, and publicly counter any identified disinformation with factual analysis and educational campaigns via official channels. The chosen next move for France to uphold dignity and provenance should be to engage a multi-stakeholder media ethics panel to review such cases, ensuring due process and transparency in its approach to foreign media, rather than unilateral expulsion based on broad allegations.
A critical calibration in the architecture of information. From Paris, we shift our lens to the streets of India, where a different kind of architectural tension is brewing. India's cockroach movement is poised to reignite mass protests, a direct response to recent government actions.
This situation is a flashpoint, Togee. The Cockroach Movement, a student-led collective advocating for educational reform and greater transparency in university admissions, is threatening to restart nationwide demonstrations. This follows the mass arrests of over 300 students and activists last month during a peaceful sit-in outside Delhi University. The government's heavy-handed response, particularly the detention of key student leaders like Priya Sharma, exposes a widening gap between youth demands and state control, challenging India's democratic fabric and its commitment to freedom of assembly under Article 19 of its constitution.
The cockroach movement name itself is a defiant cultural weave, resilient, numerous, impossible to truly eradicate. These students aren't just protesting policy, they're reclaiming narrative. The arrests, like trying to sweep dust under a rug, only amplify their message across social media platforms like X and Instagram. It creates a new lineage of resistance, echoing historical movements for social justice in India, but now with digital organizing tools exposing the state's struggle to contain a decentralized, digitally native uprising.
Patching in a caller. Go ahead.
Slight static. This is Raj from Bangalore. I understand the students' frustration, but these protests disrupt daily life, shut down roads, and cause economic strain. What's the real cost to the average Indian citizen caught in the middle? And for the government, is there a way to address grievances without giving in to what some might call anarchy?
Raj, the direct cost to citizens from widespread protests can certainly include economic disruption and inconvenience. With an estimated daily loss of 500 million rupees, $6 million in local businesses during the last major student uprising in 2022. For the government, the cost of not addressing the students' core demands risks deeper alienation of a significant youth demographic, potentially fueling more radical movements and further eroding public trust in institutions. A viable alternative for the Indian government would be to immediately release the arrested students and establish a high-level, independent commission to review the educational reform demands, engaging directly with student representatives through formal, televised dialogues. The chosen next move, embodying consent and dignity, should be for the cockroach movement to leverage its digital network to establish decentralized dialogue hubs in key cities, fostering local discussions and formalizing policy proposals, forcing the government to engage with a structured, community-driven agenda rather than reacting solely to street protests.
From the clamour of civic architecture in India, we transition to a different kind of structure, one built on taste and technique, facing a surprising shift in global perception. A surprising shift in the global beverage scene. Japan has been conspicuously absent from the top tier of Asia's 50 best bars. A fascinating recalibration of global influence. From the subtle shifts in taste to the foundational architectures of our societies, the compass guides us.
Black Star Pirate Radio.
Continue the signal at TogeeVision.com. Tune in, Sparks and Stories, Gig Passport.